How does the world look like if you don't use lead scoring, and what does it actually solve? How does it make life easier of, in this case, the marketeer, sales?
People think that lead scoring, is mostly for sales. It's not true. It's a marketing tool, making sure that the right person gets the right message at the right time in order to convert them to the next step.
Boudewijn, you just showed me something very, very nice you did for one of our clients on lead scoring, and we thought, well, let's record this. This is going to be valuable for many, many other companies. So let's make a short video on how this works. I think that's a job very well done. So topic is lead scoring. What is lead scoring?
Lead scoring is you can consider it a methodology that you can use to assign values to your marketing leads based on their likelihood to convert into a customer. So by definition, lead scoring is a marketing tool. It allows the marketing team to segment their marketing leads into how warm are they, how close are they to the sales fire, let's put it like that. So as I said, it's a methodology, it's a system, it's a scoring system that typically includes a couple of elements that are key in making it into a successful system.
Mm-hmm.
Lead scoring is built up of explicit scoring, implicit scoring, negative scoring, and that all together comes down to a let's call it a normalized lead scoring, which is a total number, a final number, based on which you can segment your marketing database.
Okay. Before we go into the more technical part of it, one step back. How does the world look like if you don't use lead scoring, and what does it actually solve? So how does it make the life easier of, in this case, the marketeer, sales?
Both.
Uh-huh.
So maybe a better question to answer is, why do you actually need lead scoring, and what does it bring you down the line, right? First of all, it's going to improve the alignment between marketing and sales. Because you're able to get better insights in where your marketing leads are in their whole buyer journey, all the way towards the sales table, you make sure that the leads that you do hand over to sales eventually are qualified according to your set of criteria, and you know that they are engaged with your company. And that should make it easier for sales to have the conversation and close the deal.
Okay.
So clear. Better alignment between marketing and sales. That should, of course, also increase the conversion rates, because you know where your marketing leads are, how warm they are. That can also help you tailor the conversation that you have, the marketing conversation that you have with those leads in terms of nurturing, educating, etc. Because you're able to, show them what they are looking for at the right time, with the right content. So conversion rates should go up as well. So for the sake of this video, this is enough.
Yeah, so what we often see also in a world where you don't use lead scoring, we see often at companies that, there is a phase where you don't have a certain lead till this person made themselves known in online marketing, often through a form, in a website, for example. That's a very common scenario. Then they're in your database, and people are going to see newsletters, perhaps they choose to have sales chase them, and then at a certain point it shows this lead is not ready to become a client just yet. And then, if you don't use lead scoring, if I understand it correctly, you're basically going to sit and wait while you still perform marketing till the moment that this lead raises his hand and fills in another form, or decides to email or to call himself. And lead scoring, if I understand it correctly, makes it possible to get better insights how engaged somebody is between those two parts. Is that a right way to explain it?
Yes, you're right. It is, however, that's only part of the story. So if you don't have lead scoring, there's a risk that if someone raises their hands, fills in a contact form, or subscribes to a trial or a demo or whatever you're offering as a sort of sales conversion point, if you don't have lead scoring, there's a very big risk that leads are being pushed to the sales table that don't fit your ideal customer profile, buyer persona, and sales will send a lead back to you saying, "Cannot do anything with this. They're not even the right fit." It's nice that they subscribe to our demo, but we cannot really work with them. So either they're not ready or they just don't fit the ideal customer profile, and that's just gonna hurt the sales numbers, waste of time, and misalignment between marketing and sales. And lead scoring is going to help you cross that bridge, fill that gap, and make sure that only those leads are sent to sales that fit the ideal customer profile, fit the buyer persona, and have the right level of engagement.
Okay. Let's see that in action. So,
all right. So let me just share my screen. No? All right. So just to start, before going into the details, it's very important to understand how lead scoring is made up. Okay, what are the elements that make up a lead scoring system? And what do you need to do before you can even build a system in your CRM? Okay, so there are a couple of things that you need to be aware of upfront. So as I said in the beginning, lead scoring is made up of explicit scoring, implicit scoring, and negative scoring. Okay. What does that mean? Explicit scoring is basically there are two elements to explicit scoring. There's firmographic data, which is touching the ideal customer profile. So that's on company level. Is the company that is in your database the right industry, the right company size? Maybe you score on revenue or a country. So that's one part of explicit scoring. Second part is demographic data, and that's on persona level. So in those companies, you might want to target the marketing director or the CEO or the CFO, whatever. But who is that, right? So what are the job titles? In what country are they positioned? What languages do they speak? So there are all kinds of different demographic data that you need to take into consideration as well, building the system. So those two together will make up your explicit scoring. Second pillar is the implicit scoring. And that's purely based on behavioral engagement.
right. Well, I still see explicit. You click to implicit or not?
Yeah. So looking at the behavioral scoring. So that's implicit scoring is based on behavioral engagement. Things like, and it primarily behavior towards your marketing assets. So website, email, conversion points, those kind of things. So you score on website visits, specific pages within your website that you classify as high intent. How many emails do you open? How many how many times do you click on a link in an email? What kind of forms do you fill in? And that all together should create a picture of your intention, right? So how eager are you to get in touch with us and to become a client? So explicit, implicit, and then you have negative scoring, and that can go two ways. Either you just deduct scores, points, because you perform an action that is contrary to what we want you to do. For example, you unsubscribe from our marketing list. We will deduct points because that shows that you are, or there is a certain period of time that from the last moment that you engage with our marketing communication. So if it has taken like 3 months since the last time you opened an email, we can gradually deduct points, because the longer you take, the lower the engagement, so those are the two elements that would make up negative scoring.
Yeah, so it could be the case that somebody very practically built up a lot of scores 2 years ago, which of course said a lot about 2 years ago, but maybe it didn't turn into a customer, doesn't mean somebody would still today have that amount of points. So if I understand you correctly, that could be a reason why you want to deduct those points, because a time factor makes it already less valuable lead. Is that correct?
Exactly that. Exactly. Yeah. Someone who filled in the form a year ago and after that hadn't done anything, a year later is definitely not as relevant as someone who just filled in the form. So, so that's how you should. And all that together will then create a normalized lead score, and that's basically a sum of the explicit, implicit, and negative scorings all together, combined with a sort of weighting factors. So you can assign weights to explicit, implicit scores to make sure that, for example, behavioral engagement would weigh heavier in the scoring, in the overall scoring, than ICP or persona data, and all that together will come to a final score. Once you have that in place, then you can consider, okay, where do I set the thresholds in order to segment my marketing database? So you will create buckets. And again, this is purely marketing leads, right? So we're not even talking about sales leads here. So you assign buckets to a certain scoring threshold. So what you see here, this is how we do it ourselves for some digital. If you score between 50 and 70 points, we consider you a cold marketing qualified lead. You're definitely not ready for sales yet. 70 to 84, you are warmed up. And we will send you different material, different nurturing content in order to push you to that last step in the buyer journey. If you're above the 84 points, then we consider you a hot MQL, and you're almost there to talk to sales. And sales could actually just reach out to you to see where you are standing and whether we can push you the last step towards the sales table.
And so in our case, not to make it too complicated, but for example, the sales in our case, would it mean that the hot MQLs are already appearing on the radar of sales in our own case?
Well, no, in our case, basically, audience a day when he wakes up and he opens his laptop, he would first look at his open deals in the sales pipeline. Then he would look at his sales leads, so his prospects, and then when he's done with that and he still has some time on his hands, he will then he goes into the hot MQL list and see what he can what he could do with that. So that's how it basically works. If you are in hot MQL and you take that last step yourself, so you fill in a contact form, or you sign up for a demo, or you submit your trial request or whatever, that's usually the point where you're automatically pushed to sales as a sales lead, right? So that's how it works.
We're almost at 15 minutes. We said let's not make it too long. So this sheet, if it depends on the context of the client of the company, right? So
just to jump ahead a couple of steps, as a company, if you want to start working with lead scoring, which I would highly recommend any serious company to do. You can basically start with a template like this, what you see here on the screen. Define your ideal customer profile, define your persona, and go into as many details as possible. Industry, company size, revenue, job titles, location, language, whatever, all those things. Put that on paper. On paper.
Mm-hmm.
Then map out the behavioral indicators. What do you find as an organization, as a marketing team, as a company? What do you find important to score on? What are high intent actions? Is that a certain visiting a certain page on the website? Is that downloading a white paper, registering for a webinar, opening emails, clicking emails, etc.? What do you find important? Once you have that mapped out, you have your explicit and your implicit indicators basically mapped out. you can assign scores to each of them. And that's what you will find here. So for each of these firmographics and demographic points, we break them down. So industry, we have certain industries that are important for us as an agency, and we give them scores. Country as well, persona as well, country as well, phone number, email hardbound, etc. So this is for your explicit, and then you have the same for you do the same for the implicit scoring. So you find it here. We give you 5 points if you view a specific landing page. We give you 10 points if you read one of our case studies. So that's how we score you. So you assign points, and then it basically implementing it into your CRM. And HubSpot in this case is going to take a lot of the heavy lifting for you. It has a dedicated lead scoring module that basically maps to what you see here. So you can set it up exactly like that. Your ICP fit score, as they call it, your persona fit score, and your engagement score. So you can set it all up with all these metrics and all the points that are that you assign to them. And then that basically ends up with, or that leads to what you see here. So this is an example. This is you actually. So this is your lead scoring. Based on all the metrics that you set up in your lead scoring system, it starts to calculate, and it will continue calculating continuously as you are part of the database. And it will assign scores to you. So we got your persona fit score, we got your ICP fit score, and your engagement fit score. Based on the data that we have available for you, you score 60 out of 100 points on persona fit score, 40 out of 100 points on ICP fit score, and 60 on engagement. Now we have our own weighting factors to that. We weigh persona scoring 25%, ICP 20%, and engage 50%. So all that together makes up 100%, and that leads to a normalized lead score. And that you see here is a little bit small, but you will can I increase this? Yeah, there we go. So here you have the lead score normalized, 55 points. Now going back to the thresholds that we set up, that would mean that that you fall in the cold MQL bucket.
Okay. Well, so that's how we don't know HubSpot. So the thing we were just looking at is my personal content as a card, right? So
yeah, correct. Yeah.
Marketing, sales, whoever would work with this sees in a contact card on the right side, as you just explained, those 3 scores and a total score on the AHAS.
And you can go into, this is of course specific for HubSpot, but you can go into detail like these 60 points. Why do you get 60 and not 100? Right? I can go into the persona fit score and check the scoring calculation specifically for you. So this is how we set up the scoring calculation on persona, and I can run you through the system. And it will tell me that the persona property is not filled in on your contact card. That's why you score 0 points on persona. You score 20 points on phone number, 20 points or 30 points on email hardbounds, and you score 10 points on the country. So that's 10 plus 30 plus 20, 60 points. That's why you have 60 out of 100 points. Okay.
Can you show quickly on behavior as well? Because this is
yes, I can. But that is a little bit more complicated to just explain that in one sentence here. I can show it. The reason why this is a little bit more complicated is because it adds up a lot of points, but we said that you can only have a maximum number of points in order to avoid that you blow up the system completely. So, for example, you see here on web events, we score you 5 points each time you visit either our discovery call page, our playbook page, our HubSpot page. Well, you've visited a couple of times. Therefore, you score 37.5 points just on that. And we score you another 5 or 10 points, depending on how often do you view case studies, or how often do you view our growth marketing team landing page or service page. Well, you score 300 points on that, which means that you come back to that, but that makes sense. It's your own website. So, so all in all, you would have hundreds of points. But we said that, okay, on web events, you can score a maximum of 35 points. So you can go over that, but it will be capped at 35. The same on form events, form submissions, opening emails, clicking links in the emails, and your email subscription status, and whether you are viewing any of our documents. And this is all decaying. That's how it's called. Every month that you don't show any further engagement, this scoring will be reduced by 50%.
Let's to wrap it up. I think the to end in a little bit more functional way, because guys like you and I, we get enthusiastic from the technicalities, so we could go down the rabbit hole by a lot. So taking one step back, once you have this all set up, the use case, well, you can imagine you do many things, but could you give an example on how clients actually apply it? So once you get to this point and you have this score in those contact cards, is it automation? Is it workflows? Is it what? Just
so you can do case. You can do a lot of fun stuff with it, but I would say that the most obvious ones are defining your marketing output depending on the scoring that you have. So the higher the score, you might want to show that person a different type of content. There's someone with a lower score because he's just not ready yet. He needs more nurturing, more educating, more. So you can segment your marketing campaigns, your email marketing, based on the lead scoring. And second would be automation. So and to make sure that eventually the handoff to sales is done automatically based on the scoring. You can report based on the scoring, right? So you can show the efficiency of your marketing efforts in your reports using lead scoring as well, which all in all would reduce manual effort on the marketing team to manually qualify leads and everything. So the biggest impact would be on your marketing campaigns, making sure that the right person gets the right message at the right time in order to convert them to the next step. So that's why lead scoring is a marketing tool, not necessarily a sales tool. That's easily mistaken. People think that lead scoring is mostly for sales. That's not true. It's a marketing tool to make sure that you can run your marketing campaigns effectively.
Thanks. If people have any questions, they can reach out to you, to me, in whatever way. The starting point you already explained a little bit. It would start with basically creating such a sheet as you showed earlier in this video. Is that correct?
Yeah, lead scoring stands and falls with a correct identification of your ICP, your persona, and your behavioral actions. If you don't have that on paper, then there's no point in starting building the lead scoring. So step number one, if you haven't done yet, put your ICP and your persona on paper and define what you find as the most important behavioral metrics. That's step number one. And then comes the execution, but start time. Thanks.
Very valuable.